Wanna trigger a full-on status apocalypse? Maybe turn your favorite weapon into a red grid machine? Or become some kind of wizard with way too many tricks and absolutely destroy your GPU? Then, yeah, keep watching. Welcome everybody to this Citrine guide, where I'll attempt to pour my very limited knowledge straight into your brain, so you can enjoy yet another way of playing this frame. Nothing you will hear in the next few minutes is set in stone. This is Warframe. There are way too many variables for that. Also, keep in mind the builds I'll show require some investment, and that you've unlocked a decent chunk of the game. You will now see the table of contents on screen. And with that out of the way, let's get into it. Citrine is a support and DPS hybrid, heavily leaning towards gun platform styles. With the right setup, she can also turn into a full caster powerhouse. She's strong at basically all stages of the game and works in pretty much every mission type, whether you are glued to a defense objective or speedrunning an extermination like your life depends on it. Today I'll show you 3 different builds. A mecha room nuking setup capable of spreading lethal status effects like a plague, a pure gun platform that turns most weapons into permanent red grid monsters, and a full caster build that might actually break your keyboard, where no weapons are allowed. Let's go over her abilities. Her passive grants her and all allies the geoluminescence buff, giving health regeneration that increases every time Citrine picks up a health orb, up to 25 health per second. Her first ability, Fracture Blast, sends out a line attack that applies slash. Enemies hit by it will drop extra health and energy orbs when they die. Basically free resources. Her second, Preserving Shell, gives damage reduction to her and nearby allies, stacking up to 90% through kills and assists. It does decay over time if you stop killing things, so, just don't stop killing things. Her third ability, Prismatic Gem, places a stationary gem that creates a rainbow-like area. Inside it, you and your team gain weapon status chance and status duration for both weapons and abilities. On top of that, enemies hit inside the area get blasted by prismatic beams, dealing damage and applying all base elemental statuses. With the Prismatic Companion augment, the gem attaches to your companion and becomes mobile. Huge upgrade, because now your buff isn't stuck in one place. Finally, her fourth, Crystallize. This one stuns enemies in a large area and grows crystal on them. Shooting those crystals gives your weapon a massive 300% bonus critical chance, turning crit weapons into monsters and non-crit weapons into orange or even red grid machines. With the recrystallize augment, killing the enemies through those crystals spreads even more of them. In short, a very well designed kit, strong synergies, slightly overpowered augments, and a ridiculous amount of flexibility. Alright, let's get into the builds. 1 or 2 casting speed shards are highly recommended if you want the build to feel smooth. The rest can go into duration, strength, or even hybrid shards that boost weapon performance. First up, the mecha-whip build. We're using mecha empowered and mecha pulse on our frame, with the remaining mecha mods on the companion. Roar is subsumed over the 4th, so we can run Precision Intensify. Then Argon Stretch, Prime Flow and Equilibrium to basically never run out of energy. Finish it off with Blind Rage, Archon Vitality or Transient Fortitude, a Prismatic Companion as well. Arcanes are concentration and strike this time because this is a melee build. Weapon wise, I went with the Spinnerex, using an electricity viral influence setup to stack statuses before the mecha set kicks in, especially Toxin in this case. Feel free to swap Arcane Strike if you want to use a primary or secondary. Honestly, it will probably work just as well, or better, if your weapon applies more status than this whip. What this build does is create a cascade of status effects, massively amplifying damage through faction mods and roar, and every time the mecha set marks a target, it just turns into a complete overkill. A good placeholder for the last mecha mods is the Ferreo Predacite, thanks to anabolic pollination for even more toxin damage. Next, the gun platform build. More strength and duration, plus the recrystallize augment. Every shot to a crystal gets that juicy plus 300% crit chance. I subsume evade over the first ability so I can keep Arcane Crepuscular active at all times. My weapon of choice here is the Lexing Cannon, built specifically for this setup, but as always with weapon platforms, the weapon matters a lot. That said, Citrine is strong enough here to make almost anything work. And finally, Warframe, but you're a wizard and weapons are illegal. For this caster build, I subsumed Tempest Barrage from Hydroid over the 4th, using the Viral Tempest augment to apply corrosive and viral. Here, we prioritize range over duration. We also add Arcane Steadfast and Impetus for free casts and extra strength and efficiency. Our loyal companion is Diriga, running Arc Coil, Manifold and Duplex Bond, with a Tazikr stacked with as many combined statuses as possible. Basically everything except corrosive and viral. Bonus point if you're using the Grimoire to boost ability strength and armor strip with Bone Invocation and Yahoo Canticle. Also, it's your wizard book. Gameplay loop is simple. Find a nice camping spot, drop your gem, summon your viral corrosive brain, and spam Fracture Blast like there's no tomorrow. Some quick tips and tricks. Prismatic Gem fires 1 beam per weapon hit, meaning it scales with fire rate, or at least the fire rate of your weapon. Fracture Blast, however, only triggers 1 beam per cast, so don't just spam it mindlessly. Use a high fire rate sentinel weapon, or just go brrrr yourself. The mecha set marker can be easy to miss in normal missions. You can change its color in the HUD settings. Just tweak the buff color to something more visible. Unless you're strictly playing solo, stay close to your teammates. You're basically a walking buff machine. Sharing is caring. And even if the caster build looks static, just slap Prismatic Companion on it and suddenly it's mobile. For the sake of the script, let's quickly go over some extra synergies. As mentioned before, the gun platform build scales with your weapon. Top tier meta picks benefit massively, like Torit, Burston, Latron, Dual Toxicist, even melees like Dual Ichor with influence setups. A Helmith option that comes to mind is Bright Bonnet, especially for the caster build. As for companions, outside of the mecha setup where you need a beast, just use whatever you like. A Viral Cat, Nautilus for ground platform, Shade for free invisibility on caster build. Honestly, there are no bad choices here. As you have seen, Citrine can pretty much do whatever you want her to do. And honestly, I can't wait for GE to drop her prime version. Her strength, insane team buffs, natural tankiness, incredible flexibility, and a very well designed kit overall. Her weaknesses, honestly, I can't think of any, except maybe how painful it is to actually farm her. So, do I recommend Citrine? Absolutely. No matter your playstyle, you will find something that clicks. Anyway, that's it from me, Tenno. Peace!